Here's 5 important donor advised fund considerations. I'm Bob DePasquale from Initiate Impact Virtual Family Offices, and I got a question for you. Have you thought about using a donor advised fund? Do you know what a donor advised fund is? Well, it's an account for charitable purposes that's maintained by a nonprofit organization for you. You make contributions to that account, you take tax deductions in the year that you make the contributions, and then you have time so you can wait until a later date to distribute those resources. It's a key thing to note that while that money is sitting in the donor advised fund, it can be invested. So you can grow those dollars and eventually give more money to charity in the future. So let's get into the 5 considerations. The first one is to think about what you would like to add to the donor advised fund. You might consider cash, securities, private company stock, or even real estate to donate to the donor advised fund. And one key thing we should note, there are some restrictions on retirement plans, so you're going to want to make sure you understand what you're allowed to put into the donor advised fund. The second consideration is very important. The contributions are irreversible. So once you put that money in, you cannot take it out. So make sure you have charitable intent with those dollars or resources. The third consideration is the charitable deduction that I mentioned earlier. When you put the resources into the donor advised fund, you receive a tax deduction in that year. So you may want to consider timing of when you make these contributions. The fourth consideration is on the back end. Where would you like these dollars to go, and who will the beneficiaries be? You can make this decision afterwards. Make the contribution, and then over time you can decide to change the places that you give money to out of that account. And the fifth and final consideration that we'll talk about today is how you use this as a charitable planning tool for your entire family. You can create a system where periodically you can check in on the dollars, see how they're doing, and then decide where you're going to give the money to. And you can involve all generations, your children and your parents and anyone else that you'd like to help make those decisions and build a charitable mindset. As always, we encourage you to determine your family's mission and values before making charitable donations. The great thing about the DAF, Donor Advised Fund, is that you can make contributions and you don't have to decide right away where you want the money to go. However, we will encourage you to make that decision. Put it on the calendar. Make sure that you know that you're going to give those dollars away and it's not just going to sit in the account where you get the charitable tax deduction, but no one else actually benefits from the money. That would be a shame. Bob DePasquale from Initiate Impact Virtual Family Offices here, wishing you a happy and generous rest of your week.